by the way, I didn't mention it before. This is a story that I came across in my research. The Murphy's death scene, as we talked about, is super violent. Verhoeven was kind of uncertain as to how he wanted to shoot it and knew that they were kind of going to go, they were almost going over budget. And he knew that if he had shot that scene, they wouldn't give him the extra money that he needed to complete the film. Mm-hmm. And also, if the studio saw that scene and how violent it was, they might not keep going with the making of the movie. So Verhoeven actually put that scene off and pushed it down the schedule and shot a bunch of the other stuff and shot a lot of the fake commercials. And then went back to Orion and said, hey, we ran out of money, but we need to shoot this death scene. It's, one of the most important scenes in the movie. You don't have the movie if you don't have this scene. So that was kind of how he convinced Orion to up his budget by a few $1 million, is by not shooting one of the most important scenes in the movie until they had no more money left.
Wow. It's pretty smart.
Yeah. And also it was, if they see how crazy violent this is, then they're not going to let us continue making this movie. Apparently Orion tried to step in a lot, and Verhoeven held them off. There wasn't a whole lot of studio interference. So they end up getting their budget upped, and then they go on shooting the movie, and Murphy becomes ROBOCOP. You see him kind of come online. You kind of see these flashes of them working on him. There's the scene where you see the doctor talking to him, and they say, oh, we were able to save his left arm, the one that did not get blown off.
Uh-huh.
And he says, oh, I thought we agreed on total body prosthesis. And he asks his coworker, what do you think? And the guy's like, well, he signed over with OCP. We kind of own him, so we can do whatever we want with him because OCP owned the cops. Yeah, so we can do whatever. And then Bob says, lose the arm. So they give him the total body prosthesis, so he really doesn't have anything left except, from what I can tell, the head. And even that is debatable when you see him take off his helmet later on in the film.
I think one of the scientists or whatever says that they were able to save like his brain and like some nerve endings or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And that's like really it, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Is that why in the reboot, to kind of spin off here for a second, that they made it a point to keep his real arm, I think?
I believe so. And when we shit on the movie later on, it's so dumb. It looks so stupid that he has a human hand still in the remake. But yeah, I think that's what that is a reference to. So they get Weller into the costume. I forget what I read and what the costume weighed. It was pretty heavy, like 40 or 50 pounds in total, maybe even a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. Because they had shot a great deal of the movie with Weller in like a practice kind of costume, correct? Yeah, they didn't have him in the real costume. It was like several weeks or at least a month or two before the actual suit was ready for him. So they were just kind of shooting around it. Yeah. So they get him in a suit. It takes 11 hours at first to put on, which is 11 hours, man. And then you have to shoot. Yeah. Good God. But what's even worse is this movie, I think we can say, wasn't shot in Detroit. It's actually shot in Dallas. During the summertime, so you can imagine what a Texas summer, how hot that is. Oh, yeah.
You know, and here you are in a suit that weighs 40 or 50 pounds, maybe more.
I think he was losing 3 pounds every day.
Yep.
In water weight?
From just sweating. Eventually, they end up building a cooling unit into the suit. And then I hear that he wouldn't wear the entire suit unless he had to be on camera. So, like, the scenes where you just see him, like, kind of torso up. He doesn't have, the leg stuff on. It's only in the shots when you see him, like, full body that he's wearing the whole costume. The scenes where he's driving, he doesn't have, like, the lower part of the costume on. Just because it was so miserable. And because it was so miserable, Weller wanted to drop out. You know, you had said that they wanted to replace him with Lance Henriksen at one point in time.
Yeah, I think he had a small falling out with Verhoeven, where Weller walked away, and they considered replacing him. But then I think it was when they realized, you know, that the film was actually working out. They convinced, you know, I think the crew convinced Weller to come back and apologize to Verhoeven, and they were able to squash it and continue production.
Well, that's good. Lance Henriksen is pretty awesome, but it was what makes this movie. But I can imagine how frustrating that might be and how miserable that might be, and, you know, for Weller to kind of have this falling out with him or want to drop out of the movie because he's so miserable in the suit. I don't blame him. But like you said, they squashed that. They figured out kind of how to do the cooling suit. They figured out he didn't have to wear the entire suit unless he was, you know, full body on camera. But it's so hard for him to move because they wanted him to kind of move gracefully. But because of the bulkiness of the suit and how heavy it was, he can't move gracefully. So he actually went and did a lot of work with, like, a mime coach to figure out the movement. And then because of the bulk of the suit, it kind of makes sense that he has that almost, I don't know what else to say, but almost robotic movement.
Yeah.
Where every move is kind of very deliberate.
Yeah, it's very slow, and I think it's because we've seen this movie so much, but it's like, that's what makes ROBOCOP. It's very iconic, you know?
Yeah, he doesn't walk like a normal person. He's not gliding anywhere. He's very kind of lumbering.
And you can feel the way. I think it's really good sound design too, but you can feel the weight of him when he's walking, in the scenes and whatnot.
Yeah, the sound design. You get like the heavy footsteps and the kind of like the motors and like the servos moving as he moves. Yeah, great sound design in the film, but the reason he moves, like how he moves, is because the suit was just so cumbersome and heavy that you couldn't walk like a normal person. And it actually, I think it makes it better.
Yeah, for that time, it totally makes sense.
So now he's RoboCop. He's kind of introduced to us through all of this. You see him kind of go out on patrol. At first, he has his prime directives. Which, do you remember what they are?
Oh shit. I think it's uphold the law is the last one. Protect the innocent. And
is the second one. And
I forget the what he says.
Serve the public trust.
Ah, okay.
So these flash on his screen, and when he's out on patrol, when he's doing stuff, kind of the one that applies to the situation he's headed into pops up on his screen, and you see him out on patrol, and he goes out and he's driving, and now's the time to mention like the score. The score is awesome, and especially like the main RoboCop theme, which you definitely hear like as he goes out on patrol for the first time, is so good. The Basil Poliadoris, who does the score. Which, do you remember did you ever play the NES game?
Yes.
Yeah, I had the game, and the main theme plays on like the title screen.
Mm-hmm.
And the main theme is awesome. The soundtrack itself is awesome, but that main theme, which is probably about a 30 to 45 second clip, is really fucking good.
I think within the last 5 years, they actually they released that soundtrack on vinyl, and I believe Nicholas Winding Refn was the overseer for it. He got it made.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah,
awesome. I'm gonna have to see if I can get that, because I really enjoy that score. Basil Poliadoris scored Flesh and Blood, and then he later scores Starship Troopers for Verhoeven. He also did, if you've ever seen Conan the Barbarian, he did the score for that, and that's a good score too.
The OG with Schwarzenegger?
Yeah. Yeah, and Hunt for Red October, which you brought up when we were talking about John McTiernan.
Mm-hmm.
He did both of those scores, and those are really good too. So he's out on patrol, he stops by, there's a robbery at a convenience store, and you see him in action for the first time. He goes in, and the guy turns around and just like can't believe what he sees.
Fuck me.
Did you read the story on that scene?
No.
Apparently it just, in the script, he's only supposed to say fuck me once. But Verhoeven thought it was so funny that he's just like in such disbelief that he just keeps repeating it over and over again, like while he's shooting him. And also, little bit of trivia for you, that's the stunt coordinator for the film is the guy robbing the convenience store.
Really?
Yeah. And he was like super stoked to get like picked up and thrown into the cooler.
Yeah.
Which is what RoboCop like walks up on him. The guy keeps shooting him. Obviously nothing is happening because RoboCop is, I believe it was titanium, coated in Kevlar. So obviously he's bulletproof. And the guy keeps shooting him, and then he just walks up on him, grabs the gun, bends the barrel down, and then picks him up and throws him across the convenience store.
I think he tries to run because he realizes it's going nowhere, and he RoboCop kind of stiff arms him, and then he just goes flying across the other side of the room into the ice cooler. But it's like obviously very like brash, the way that they show, like you could just tell that guy got fucked up going through the glass.
Oh my god, yeah, he flies like across the store. But I read that was the stunt coordinator for the film. It's kind of like, yeah, I'll take a chance to get thrown across the room. Why not?
When that scene starts, they started off by the convenience. It's like an elderly couple, and the gentleman is watching that same commercial. So it's like, I'll buy that for $1, and he starts laughing his ass off. And then the burglar comes in with this fucking high-powered, I think, machine gun or something.
Yeah,
with the crazy recoil on it, and he's just like, give me all the money, and they give him the cash from the register, and he's like, now open the fucking safe, and the gentleman's like, oh, we don't have a safe here, and then he's like, he kicks the Coors kind of model down, and it's the safe is hidden in the cans.
It's like a pyramid of beer.
Yeah.
It's like what the safe is hidden under. Yeah, it's the title of this episode is a reference to it, the I'd Buy That for $1, which you see multiple times throughout the movie. This is like the show that everyone watches. And I'm trying to figure out like what kind of a show it is. Like is it like a sketch comedy, or is it like more of a Three's Company type show? But the name of the show, I had to really look for it because it's never said throughout the movie. But the name of the show is It's Not My Fault. I had to search high and low through the research to figure